How's it going? Ryan here at etrailer.com. Today on our 2017 Subaru Crosstrek, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the etrailer.com Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver. Now, compared to some of the other hitches available, this one is going to be a little bit more visible, but in my opinion it looks pretty good on the back of our Subaru. It's going to match the body lines nicely and almost look like it belongs. And there is an upside to that visibility. That's going to be how easy it is to use. Since everything is in the open, it's going to be really easy to get all of our accessories connected and disconnected. Another thing I noticed is that our hitch is going to give us some really good clearance. And what I mean by that is the end of our receiver tube is actually going to stick out just a little bit past our bumper. And that's going to be perfect, especially for those folding accessories. Another thing that separates this hitch from some of the others is its finish. It's going to have a matte black Carbide powder coat finish, which is going to stay in really good shape, be scratch resistant, and it's also going to match our Subaru's trim package almost spot on. This is a Class 3 hitch, so it's going to have that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening and a reinforced collar for extra strength. It is going to have the standard 5/8 size pen hole. Now keep in mind, a pen and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can find it here at etrailer.com. Our safety chain openings are going to be loop style, and they're going to give us more than enough room to use even a very large hook. Our hitch is going to have some pretty impressive weight capacities. As far as the maximum gross tongue weight rating goes, it's going to be 525 pounds. So that's the amount of weight pushing down on our hitch. So that's going to be more than enough for just about any bike rack or even cargo carrier available. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 3,500 pounds, the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that's the weight of your trailer, plus anything you might have on it. Now, it is always a good idea to check with your Subaru's owner's manual to make sure that you can pull that much weight. And if you do plan on doing a little bit of towing, I'd recommend picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will match the lights on your Subaru, and you'll be safe and legal as you go down the road. Many of our Subaru customers find themselves doing a little bit of off-roading or driving on some rough terrain. And if you find that when you're going down those bumpy roads and your accessories that you have here in the back of the hitch seem to bounce around and shake around, to help eliminate that play in the connection point, I'd recommend the Let's Go Aero anti-rattle hitch pin. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you're going to use these to help figure out which hitch mounted accessories to get. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, it's going to be about 13.5 inches. So you're going to use that to figure out if you need to get a ball mount with either a drop or a rise. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, it's going to be about 2 inches. And you're going to use that to figure out if any folding accessories you have can be stored in the upright position without contacting our bumper. Now, most of our customers did this installation themselves, were really happy with the results, and said they didn't really have a whole lot of trouble at all. Speaking of, let's go ahead and put the hitch on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath our car, and we're going to need to remove some rubber plugs on each side of our frame rail. We're going to have 3 rubber plugs. Now we're going to remove this one and this one. So to do that, just take a flathead screwdriver and pry underneath the plug to pull it out. Now keep in mind, from this point on, anything I do to one side, we're going to repeat on the other. Now what we're going to do, this larger hole closer to the front of the vehicle, we actually need to enlarge that a little bit. That way we're able to fit all of our hardware up through there into our frame rail. Now I'm going to use a step bit to make this hole bigger. However, you can use a file or even a die grinder. Now once our hole is large enough for our hardware to easily fit in and out, what I'm going to do is just take some spray paint and paint that bare metal. That way we can prevent any rust or corrosion. What we're going to do now is fishwire our hardware into place. We're going to start with this hole closest to the back of the bumper. So we're going to take our 7/16 fishwire. It'll be the smaller one. We'll take the coil in and feed it through that hole. We're going to get that coil in to drop out of the larger hole that we drilled open. Sometimes it's not going to fall right through. You're going to have to reach up there and kind of grab it and help pull it through. Once we have that coiled and dropped down, we're going to take the smaller spacer block as well as the smaller 7/16 carriage bolt, thread that bolt onto the fish wire. We're going to work that hardware up into the frame, pull on the other end of the fish wire, and get it to drop down just like that. Now this hole is going to be a little bit different. We're going to use the reverse fish wire technique. So we'll take our larger 1/2-inch fish wire, our larger spacer block, we're going to put that over the coiled end. We're going to take the larger 1/2-inch carriage bolt and thread that onto our fish wire. Then we're just going to simply feed that hardware up into the frame rail. And we can pull it back down just like that. Now before we put our hitch into place, it's a good idea to take our spacer blocks and actually tape them to the hitch. That way they'll be in place and they'll be a lot easier to get installed. So we'll take our block, one on each side. We're going to tape it over this hole right here. We'll line the holes up and just use some packing tape and just lightly secure it in place. Now with an extra set of hands, we can raise our hitch into place. On the side with our fish wires, we'll line up with the corresponding holes. We'll put our hitch into place, get our hardware to drop through. Well, once it does drop through, we can go ahead and remove our fish wires and secure our hardware using the correct flange nuts. So that bigger flange nut will go on that 1/2-inch bolt here in the back. And the smaller flange nut will go onto the smaller bolt here at the very rear of our car. And you want to make sure to get at least one of these hand tight and started, that way the hitch will support itself while we finish up all the hardware. Now with all of our hardware in place and hand tight, we can snug it all down. With everything snug, we can now use a torque wrench to tighten all of our hardware down to the amount specified in our instructions. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com Class 3 2-inch trailer hitch receiver on our 2017 Subaru Crosstrek.